Get me a valid pullback. See, you can't. Yet you complain every day the market is against you. This was me last year. I nearly wiped my whole account from this ignorance. Today you learn how to avoid that. I'm Vito Snow from Trading from the Soul, where smart money is simplified. If this helps, like and subscribe. We say that a pullback is what? A temporary pause in the opposite direction before price resumes in its original direction. So this was the original direction of the market, and this is what the temporary pause, the opposite direction. But not every pullback you see in the market is considered as what? A valid pullback. This is where traders make mistakes and fail. Look at these two examples, 1 and 2. Both are considered as what? As pullbacks, but only one of them is a valid or what? A real pullback here. Which one of it? Can you answer? This is the only valid pullback we have here, and this is what? An invalid pullback. Why? Because of this is what? A single market movement to the upside, and this is my pullback because this low was being swept. Can you see? We just don't guess what valid pullbacks are. We have rules for them, which are for a pullback to be considered as a valid one, it must first sweep the low of the last candle that caused a single market movement. So this is what I mean by a single market movement to the upside. This is my first candle, this is my second candle, and this is my last candle. So this is the low of the week of this last candle. We want the next set of candle to sweep the low of this candle. Just so you know, the sweep could be what? A week or what? A candle. Number 2 is what? Before what? The sweep of the high of the last candle. This is my last candle, this is my high of my last candle. So we want the next set of candles to what? Close above the high of the last candle. It must be what? A candle close. This will be what? My single market movement. This will be my valid pullback. See how I mark to this low, and see how I mark to this high, and what? My single market movement. Here gonna be my valid break of market structure. Here gonna be my higher low, and here gonna be my higher high in the market. Can you now see why this pullback here is invalid? This is first, second, last candle that caused what? Single market movement, and this is the low of the week of this last candle. And can you see it wasn't swept before this candle closed up here, and this we regard this as what? A single market movement. What this simply means is we cannot mark out here as what? A higher low or a higher high in the market. It means that if we mark out an order block or fair value gap or other institutional reference point, it is what? Totally wrong, and we are likely to lose the trade. Can you now see why you are lucky to be in this video? Because 80% of failed trades comes from identifying these valid and invalid pullbacks. It is not the market against you, it is learning this. This example 3 and 4 help me find the valid and invalid pullback. Pause this video. So this one is a valid pullback, and this one is a valid pullback. So this is the last candle that caused a single market movement, and this is the low of the week of the last candle and the high of the week of the last candle. Can you see how we swept this guy with a wick before what? A candle close above the highs? So this will be a single market movement, a valid pullback, guys, and a single market movement. Means here gonna be my higher low, here gonna be my higher high, and I can mark out my valid order block to trade from entry here, stop loss below here. Another thing I want to point out is, can you see how this valid pullback here is irrespective of the candle's color? What I mean is that this candle here now can actually be what? A bearish candle, a red candle. We don't care about the candle's color. This is what? A valid pullback. And can you see the pullback candle number is what? 1. So for this number 4 example, that is a valid pullback. The last candle that caused a single market movement, the low of the week of the last candle, and the high of the week of the last candle. And see we swept it, and this was a candle sweep for what? We closed here with a candle, and what? This will be what? a single market movement. Here can be my valid pullback and what my single market movement. Here can be what my break of market structure, the higher low and higher high. I can now go ahead and mark out my valid order block to trade from. If we should have a weak close above this high, we must wait for a full candle close here. So let's look at this example 5 and 6. Can you help me find valid and invalid pullback, guys? Pause this video if you need to. So this one is a valid pullback and here is a valid pullback. Why? This is a single market movement. This is first, second and third candle. This is the low of the week of the candle. This is the high of the week of the candle. Can you see we swept it before this candle close here? This is a single market movement. This is my valid pullback. This is a single market movement. Break of market structure, higher low and higher high, guys. Can now mark out my valid order block to trade from. And also, guys, can you see that my valid pullback is irrespective of the candle's number? This is what I mean. Can you see we have candle 1, 2, 3, 4 candles as what my valid pullback. What it means is that we can actually, the pullback will actually be 2 candles. It will still be a valid pullback. It must at least have 1 candle, and my valid pullback can be like this, and my valid order block will look like this, guys. Warren Buffett would say that the best investment you can make is actually in yourself. You can continue failing, or you correct these mistakes that will separate you from 99% of losing traders. If this video is helping, like and subscribe. So for this number 6 example is a valid pullback. Here is my last candle that caused a single market movement. This is the low and the high of the candle, and this is the sweep of it before this candle close. Single market movement, valid pullback here, single market movement, and here can be my break of market structure, higher low and higher high, guys. This next one will increase your profitability in trading. It is very powerful, which is what the last candle rule. The last candle rule says that our last candles always have the ability to switch to the next candle depending on if the high is swept with a wick. So this is the last candle that caused a single market movement, right? And this is the high of it, right? This next candle swept this high with a wick. We can now move our last candle title from this guy. Remember, it was this guy. So this guy right here. Then we reapply our rules that we've been using, which is what mark out the low of the week of the last candle and the high of the week of the last candle, and I want here to be swept before a candle close. Can you see our price action swept here before closing above here? So look at this example 7 and 8. Can you point out a valid or invalid pullback? So if you say that this guy is a valid pullback, you're correct, and this will be your invalid pullback. This was our last candle that caused a single market movement, right? And this was our high of the candle, but this next candle swept this high with a wick. Move our last candle title from here to here, and we apply those our rules, low of the week and the high of the week. Can you see how we swept it before what a candle close above it? Again, number 8 that is invalid. This was our last candle that caused a single market movement, and this was the high of it. Can you see this next candle swept it with a wick? So we moved our last candle title from this guy to this guy. This guy now became our last candle. We reapplied those our rules, the low and the high. Can you see we couldn't sweep this low before candle closure above these highs? So that is why here was invalid, which this is just what a single market movement to the upside, hence invalid to trade from. Can you now see that a fake pullback is a trap? A real pullback is healthy. A fake pullback is deadly. It will spoil your trades. You can you imagine marking out order block from here? It comes to take you out. Again, our last candle can be moved again. Last candle title that was moved from here to here can be moved again. This is what I mean. If the next candle sweeps this high with a wick, depends on if we sweep it with a wick. We reapply those rules now. we'll move our last candle title from here to what, to this guy, becomes our last candle, and we reapply our rules. This is gonna be our low of the week, and here gonna be our high of the week of the last candle. We want this guy to be swept before what, candle close here, and here gonna be my single market movement, my valid pullback, and here gonna be my single market movement. Break of market structure, higher low and higher high. Mark out my valid order block to trade from, and I'll enter from here, stop loss below here. Someone watching me would ask, Victor Snow, what if I have something like this? We know that this guy is our last candle, right? And what if this next candle swept this high of the week of this last candle again? Should we move our last candle title from here to here? The answer is yes, we move it from here to here. So we now want the low of the week of this last candle to be swept. Reapply those rules before closure of this high. We do this irrespective of how many times price action does this. What I mean is, if this guy should actually sweep here with this week, I will still move my last candle title from here to what, to this level, and that means I want this last candle to be swept before what, closure above here. So here gonna have its what, low and its what, high. I want this low to be swept. I'll wrap this video up with what, this example here. Can you help me spot out which is a valid or invalid pullback here now between this 9 or what, 10? If this helped, show me a support by giving me a like and subscribe. I'll talk more about this in future videos. And are you struggling with trading? I just launched a 3 free day trading course on what it actually takes to be a successful trader. Link for that will be at this video's description. Want to learn more about the smart money trading strategy? Click on this video on your screen.